Conductors are some of the most important, vital, and fascinating musicians. They manage the big picture, like the captain of a big ship. They refine small details in the music to highlight the composer's intentions and textures and layers. They also steer the audience in what they hear. You know, a lot of them are music directors, artistic directors, and so they direct what's happening in the program and how the audience perceives the music. They're also at head of organizations. A lot of them take care of these music organizations with sponsors and fundraising and administrative work. So it's my great pleasure today to introduce our guest, who is no exception to this, who is a composer, a conductor, a range of music, and just a fascinating person to be with. So without further ado, it's a pleasure to have Massimiliano Donninelli today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Before I introduce my guest today, for everyone who might be seeing our broadcast for the first time, welcome. I want to tell you a bit about what we're doing here at Virtual Concert Halls. And this year, for our 2021 Sound Espressivo Global Competition, I wanted to get you to introduce our competition so everyone has a chance to know what we're about. These broadcasts that we're doing, the aim and the mission of it is actually to ensure that you get to know us, our music community. And so there's 5 things that you really need to know about our Sound Espressivo Global Competition, which distinguishes us from other competitions around the world. The first thing is that we don't have any time limits for the semi-final and final rounds of the competition, which means you can program a lot more music. You don't have to restrict yourself. You can play whole complete sets of music, and it's a very amazing chance to showcase yourself. The second thing is that there are no repertoire requirements of any kind. So you can really feel free to play and produce any music that you want. The lack of repertoire requirements, which means you can explore composers and really see, hey, who am I really interested in featuring in this music I'm playing. The third thing is that there is immediate feedback from the jury members, even at the preliminary auditions. And this is something very unique in our competition, in that we decided that it's better for musicians after they play to see and to hear what the judges think of their playing, to give them some affirmation, to give them some comments, some suggestions, that it's not just you play and you don't hear anything and suddenly you find out you don't get into the next round and you have no idea why, and you don't know how to improve on what you did. The fourth thing is that our prizes have a total value of over $100,000 US. And no, we don't give away any cash prizes, but what we do is we connect people with performance opportunities, with management, with an opportunity to get career coaching, website design, and all the scholarships for festivals, masterclasses, all that amount to over $100,000 US, which is incredible and at a world-class amount. Every round of the competition will be live broadcasted. So you can send a recording for your preliminary audition, but everything else is live. Everything else is broadcasted live on all the platforms. And so what happens is you get a chance to perform for the virtual stage. It's like a performance, but you get to do it in the comfort of your own home or in a hall or any space of your choosing. So if you know anybody who's interested or would be a great addition to our virtual stage, please have them look at our website. Check our website at soundespressivocompetition.com. And it's going to be an amazing year. This is our second year hosting it, and it will just be amazing. And our judges are some of the most accomplished musicians who are kind, encouraging, and just a visionary. And our guest today is no exception to that. So without further ado, let me bring Massimiliano Donninelli to the stage. So, Massimiliano, it's a pleasure to have you. Since the beginning of his career, you have dedicated yourself to contemporary music. You are privileged to live, within tradition, but also contemporary music, which means you're playing and you're performing, conducting both sides. As a conductor, you have conducted modern and classical, traditional repertoire all over the world. It's incredible. You have been in France, in Italy, in Germany, Spain, Slovenia, Croatia, Portugal, the UK, all over Europe. You've played in Canada, Greece, and you've collaborated with artists such as Luciano Berio, with incredible, Valerie Morricone, Brett Dubner, and many, many others. Yeah, and you've conducted orchestras like Bellat Orchestra in Paris, the Southern Illinois Symphony Orchestra, the National Philharmonic Orchestra, Sergei Lunchevich, and an orchestra in Moldova, which we're going to talk about a little bit because you're going to perform with them soon, the National TeleRadio Orchestra in Moldova. So there's that. You're also a composer. We have a special little card that we prepared of your composition. You've dedicated yourself to composing. And it's just incredible how much you've done. Your works have been performed all over the world, in Italy, Germany, Slovenia, France, Croatia, Brazil, Spain, and broadcasted on Radio Vaticana, United Nations Radio, Discovery Channel, just to name a few. It's incredible what you've done, and it's a real pleasure to talk to you, an artist who's distinguished by a special interpretive sensitivity and dedication to the composer's idea on what it means to be respectful to their music and to music at whole. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much to you. Thank you very much to this wonderful platform with Sound Espressivo. And thank you very much for this opportunity. It's an honor for me to be with you, to have this time to spend with you. That's a really wonderful time. Thank you very much. You know that you are great musicians in your career, and so it's a really wonderful meeting for me. Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you. No, it's a pleasure. I think it's really wonderful to meet musicians all over the world, and I have deep respect for people like you who are in their prime of their careers. You've done a lot of the work before, and you're working on things now. And I feel like you have a lot of advice, a lot of good wisdom to share with us. And just to kickstart, I want everybody to know that Massimiliano was a saxophonist. And we have a picture of him playing the saxophone. Looks a little bit different. You were wearing glasses, much longer hair, and I think you look great. I think you look fantastic at the saxophone. So it's my question for you is, what is your journey from being saxophonist? And I've seen videos of you playing the Bach cello suites on saxophone. You sound fantastic. It's you're a very, very accomplished saxophonist. What made you decide to start conducting and focus more on conducting?
Yes, to conduct I was this dream when I was very young, very young age. I was this dream. I remember the beginning of starting my music studies. I started to study when I was 6 years old, but when I was 10, 12 years ago, I was thinking about conducting, because I remember that I was looking a lot to great videos, so in TV or DVD, because in this period we didn't have YouTube I was so fascinated about the role of the conductor. And many years later, after a lot of years of a career of saxophonist, dedicated particularly to the contemporary music, I started to conduct when after really I had 32, 33 years old. So 20 years after the dream started in my head, because it was a period that was very interesting. After many years to perform world premiere and to work so close to the composers, I discovered more and more the tradition. The tradition of the classical music, so Mozart, Beethoven, Brahms, and because when you play a lot of contemporary music, for me, for example, I found a lot of great connections with the
Yeah.
tradition. So I really say, oh, wow, the tradition that how we feel the tradition today with this kind of music, modern contemporary music, but it's tradition. Because it's tradition, because you find sometimes the same kind to approach of the music, the same need to find a form. So the classical form is really a great opportunity to give to new music a poetic mind, really energy and logic construction, logic structure. So
I really like what you
yeah,
said about that, and I want to focus on this because a lot of people seem to want to dismiss tradition, and I'm just generalizing a little bit, but there is
yeah,
a tendency for people to say, no, I want to do away with the past. This is the
yeah,
future now. This is we're in the 21st century. Let's get rid of our past. Let's move on. And I feel like what is really valuable about the past and tradition is what you said. There's structure, there's logic, there's a way to make music with story. Even something like the sonata form, you have a
yeah,
beginning, a
yeah,
middle, which is struggle,
yeah,
and then an end with some resolution. And as human beings, we resonate with that kind of story. And so I feel
yeah,
like this is a
yes,
really important part
yeah,
of
yeah.
our music making.
For sure, absolutely wonderful. You explained really well. Because even if today we don't write in a sonata form, but the sonata form is in our ADN, is in our
Mm.
genetic code. So that's it's not really clear sometimes it's not necessary to think to the sonata form when I write or when the new contemporary composers write, but it's necessary to feel the mind, the deep sense that the sonata form give to us, to the new generations.
Yeah.
It is a story, is a form, so it's a story, is a structure, and we can say different things throw up the same structure or throw up the same feeling of the structure. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily the same structure, but
Yeah, I like that a lot.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
beautiful.
Because if you watch movies, it's similar too. You always have. I think movies are a great way for us to understand that
Yeah,
stories don't really change that much.
yeah,
A lot of it everything comes back full circle, but
yeah,
at the end of the next circle, there's a slight change. Like you go out and have an adventure,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you experience trouble, you use a
yeah,
struggle, you fall in love and you get your heart broken. And then somehow you go through some periods of success and you come back home again and you've learned all these lessons. These are like stories and of great movies that we love, and I
yeah,
think that's what we're trying to show in music, that there is some beginning, some struggle, some
yeah.
difficulty, and then it comes back to some end.
Yeah, yeah. But that's very important to communicate because in reality the thing that communicate a lot to us as musicians, to the audience, it's not
Yeah.
real the melody or the dodecaphonic theme,
Yeah.
but is the structure. The structure, the structure
Wow.
let communicate the mind, emotions, philosophic reflections,
Yeah.
and the structure is the way to is the really the way to communicate. The
Yeah.
language can change, but because change the language is another big question, but topic, another big topic. But the structure and the classical music, the tradition, opera, classical, romantic music. So is our uh, tradition, is our like we cannot forget our parents, our grandparents. it's the same thing for the mind. We cannot
Exactly.
forget it.
I love that you're saying that. This is, I feel like we could talk about this for a long time, but I want to just highlight the fact that structure is something that I think the great artists talk about very much. Like I remember with Rachmaninoff, for example, he would always say, even in a big piece, he's like, there's one point. Everything goes to that one point and then goes away from that one point. And as, I guess, as musicians who just focus on their instrument, sometimes what happens is we're so focused on being beautifully playing that melody, or we're trying to make sure that someone hears how beautifully I place this harmony, or how in tune my instrument is. But we forget that what people want is this structure, and it's what ties everything together. And so actually I want to play some of your music. We'll play a little excerpt of your conducting, about 3 minutes of it, and I just want to highlight this. And you talking about structure makes me think, oh wow, this is what he's thinking about when he's conducting this music.
Thank you very much.
Wow. I wish we could hear the rest of this this piece. This was recorded in February 2020, I believe, right? And I guess my question would be, what's happened with you since? And in terms of, your journey with music and having everything cancelled with the pandemic. And if you could give some advice for people who are looking to be conductors or who are musicians who are struggling with the pandemic, what can they do to maintain connections, to continue developing their career, in your opinion?
Well, during the pandemic, it was really strange because in a way you have to wait, and that's the worst thing for a conductor, for a musician usually, because we are used to be in mission, to be in a adrenalic situation when
go.
Even traveling.
Where next? This city?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even traveling to make a concert is totally different than traveling to make holidays or to go to see the family.
It's exciting, it's fun, everything is jam-packed, you don't have any time. Okay, quick espresso, back to work, But when you're traveling, you're like, okay, I'm going to sit back, relax.
Yeah, and and this is in a way is so the first moment it was a really difficult, really sad situation because I was playing, I was conducting, especially I was conducting a lot, so then immediately stop immediately like this, and you say, wow, man, even the brain was too used to memorize, to practice new scores, and now so it's to stop the brain is not so, it's not so easy. No,
it's not.
So it's necessary to conduct in a way, to conduct the mood, because otherwise you get sad, you get crazy, or it's not interesting. Totally, it's not interesting. It's necessary to conduct the brain to create a new structure of life, a new structure of mind, because especially because you said really a really wonderful way about my steps, saxophonist, composer, conductor. So, and it's a kind of conducting the mood, the dream, the dreams. You have to conduct your dreams. That's very, very important, because I became to become. I am a conductor now, almost totally conductor and composer. Most of my time, because the way that I used to practice scores, the way I used to approach the environment as a conductor is the way I like to approach my life. That's very important for me, because to conduct, for me to be a conductor, means to discover the tradition, and it's a universe. It's not possible. So the repertoire of the tradition. Tradition means the last 3 centuries. So is immense. I don't know.
Could I ask a question? Do you mind if I ask, when you say conducting your dreams, or I just want to clarify, do you mean that as an artist, you're thinking of your career and what you do, your music making, whether you're composing, arranging, or memorizing, preparing music, do you feel like you have to conduct your own career? Is that what you mean, in terms of, like, if I want to achieve a goal in 10 years, how can I conduct it or manage it in a way that I will achieve it in 10 years? Is that what you mean by that?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. Sometimes it's necessary to balance long project, like you said before, 10 years. In 10 years, I would like to, and to balance with long period and short period. Because sometimes it's not so it's not so easy to understand the relationship between the short results, immediately that you have a result immediately with conducting an orchestra or world premiere of your piece. I play for example, I played in a world premiere in Venice 2 weeks ago as a saxophonist. So you
Wow,
have short.
wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Something is can happen immediately, but don't don't follow only the things that it happens immediately, because it doesn't mean that it conducts you to the mainstream, to your main work.
That's
It's
actually
very
really
important.
good advice. Yeah, that's actually really good advice. And just to clarify, what you're saying is that sometimes you get gigs thrown at you and opportunities given to you, maybe as a pianist sometimes, oh, do you want to play piano at my bar, or, do this and that. But I mean, you can say yes to it, but you always have to make sure that you remember your goal. Like
Yeah,
if your
yeah,
goal is to play in all the piano bars in the US and Europe, fine.
yeah,
But if your
yeah,
goal is to become like a composer or
yeah,
conductor of, film music, then playing at a
yeah.
bar isn't really the main focus.
Yeah, if it's necessary to
Hmm.
for the to live for the moment to work,
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
obviously
To
it's
meet people or
necessary.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
For example, usually as a conductor, usually I can choose the program. I can choose the scores, so almost all
Yeah.
the time. But when I'm invited to conduct new scores, you, I accept the invitation. Great orchestra, good situation. But the score, if I like or I don't like it, it doesn't. Is not my problem. It's not
Yeah.
my question. I have to play conductor. I have to conduct really well, absolutely well, and I have to love it, because it's not possible to do the things. It's not possible to do well the things if you don't love it. Even if if you don't have a great relationship with the score, with the orchestra, but it doesn't mean it's necessary to have this kind of, for me, this kind of approach to really to love your dreams. Or that's very important, because uh, for example, to conduct is, for me, is a wonderful uh, it's a wonderful job, it's a wonderful career, because uh, at the same time, for me, it means to be really sensitive. It's
Hmm.
necessary to be really sensitive to my mind, to the score, the mind of the
Yeah.
score, and the mind of the orchestra, the chorus of the soloists. And it's not, and this all those three things will happen at the same moments,
Yeah.
because when you're having a rehearsal, I am in a concert, everything is fluid. Okay,
Yeah.
it's fluid in the mind, in the sense, in the feeling. It could be, but if you love the whole structure,
Yeah.
everything will find the right position in the right moment.
Wow. I feel like we could talk about this for such a long time. I really, honestly, I think this is such valuable advice even for me, that we have the structure in mind always, even if we have
Yeah,
all these other things going on. We might not, be as akin to this score. You're like, oh, I like this composer, but I don't love this composer. But no, it's about the process. It's about the structure. It's about the mind and being sensitive
yeah,
and loving. So before we end off, I want to make sure we, promote your upcoming concert with the National TeleRadio Orchestra in Moldova, and it's coming up in mid-November. It's produced and broadcasted by Alegro Vivo, and features works by South American composers. In that's really really amazing. I think this is. I wish I could be there to hear this concert. And as a wrap up, I want to say thank you to you for joining us today. You are such a pleasure to talk to. I feel like I have all these other questions and notes to ask you, so I hope we can do this again. That we can
yeah,
talk
for
about
sure.
music
With
and
great
music
pleasure.
making and Yeah, it was just such a pleasure to hear your journey, and I love the structure. You're keeping always the structure in mind. I think that's
Yeah,
excellent.
it helps uh, to take to pay attention to all details in all aspects of our our job, because even with this kind of structure, and the structure is something that is living structure, so it's not fixed. So it will be always like this. It will the goal that
Yeah.
doesn't have to change, but the structure is a living structure. So we are human being. The music is always full of new opportunities to understand a score. Always more. So, for example, I think that's very interesting to conduct the same scores for many times,
Yeah.
or the same score after 2 or 3 years that you conduct, and it's necessary to be in a way a new conductor in front of the old score that you
Yeah.
know very well. That's very
It's a
interesting.
different perspective, you know. You do get different life because everybody's life story is different, so they have a different way of looking at the structure or what's important. No, thank you so much, and I want to thank our team, Sound Espressivo Competition, especially our producer and director Ante,
Thank
for
you.
producing the show. Thank you everybody for joining. It's a pleasure to talk with you, Massimiliano, and I hope we can do it soon. So until next time, I
sure.
hope you stay well. All the best for your concert, and yeah, take care. Thank you everybody for joining, and see you next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next night.
No matter where you are or who you are, music connects us all. We started with a dream, but now we are paving the future. Welcome to the Sound Espressivo Global Competition. Fully virtual, yet bringing musicians closer together than ever before, now on a global scale. True live, inclusivity, diversity, connection, community, an extraordinary array of judges. Get noticed by companies all over the world. Prizes, scholarships, performance opportunities. Apply to be a part of the most exciting congregation of artists, like nothing you've ever seen before. We guarantee quality and leave no musician behind. We can't wait to hear you on the virtual stage.